Well, thank you very much and welcome to Peel, everybody. It really is an honor to be here on behalf of the Police Services Board. I'm Regional Chair Nando Unica and Chair of our Police Services Board, and an honor to be here with my dear friend and colleague, Mayor Brown, as well. You know, the story in the headlines might read that this is going to be a story about a gold heist. And I'd like to take a different tact on it. This is also a story about reverse alchemy. Remember we studied in high school alchemy, taking something inanimate and turning it into gold, that mythological practice? Well, as Patrick Brown will tell you, and as we know on the police board, this isn't just about gold, this is about how gold becomes guns. It isn't about stolen vehicles become guns. And gold can be remade, and gold can be insured, and so can cars, but people's lives and what happens when guns are involved cannot. So that's the first message I want to convey on behalf of our Police Services Board. The next thing I want to say is I've had the privilege of being around for 5 decades. I was first elected in 1988, and it never fails to amaze me how incredibly good our enforcement service in Peel is in chasing bad guys. We're damn good at it, and we get our man. And when I started, there was the case of Barbara Turnbull. That's a long time ago for those of you that remember it, and we got our man. I don't know how many of you remember the Peter Demeter case. Peter Demeter might have been our O.J. Simpson, except Peter Demeter went to jail because of Peel Regional Police. Muriel Holland, don't know if you remember that one. That one hurt me particularly because she died across the road from where I was born when I was on the board. That was a tough case, and I remember getting updates every year from the service saying, we haven't forgot, and years later, with incredible investigative work, we got our man. Lennell Court, when I lived around the corner from there, a remarkable case, and an officer who found a scrap of a receipt in a ditch led to getting our man. And most recently, Chief, you'll remember, and Mayor Brown were telling a story where we got complaints about, why'd you stop all the traffic on Highway 410? Well, there was an investigation, and they had to spend hours with lights at night finding every fragment of evidence. And as it turns out, that last shell casing, from the first one to the second one to the third one to the 10th one to the 11th one, was the final piece that created the jigsaw puzzle of a fingerprint, and we got our man again. And we've done so again today. Still much more to follow, but I'm here to tell you that I am so incredibly proud of our investigative team. We're the best of the best. I'm so proud of our cooperation with our friends from ATF in the United States, because we couldn't have done it without them. And so this is a good news story of these folks behind me who do an amazing job of catching bad guys in Peel. And we're glad to be able to tell you that again today, and very, very proud of the people who serve on the Peel Police Services. Thank you very, very much.
For our next speaker, I'd like to call to the podium Chief of Police Nishan Duryappa. Chief.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you all for joining us. Again, I just do want to acknowledge Peel Regional Police Service Board members, Chair of our board and Chair of the Region of Peel, Nando Unica, who just spoke, and Mayor Patrick Brown, who you will be hearing from as well. Thank you for your endless support of our team. There's a reason why we picked today for this announcement. Exactly 1 year ago, 6,600 gold bars weighing over 400 kilograms were stolen from Pearson International Airport here in Mississauga and Peel Region. It had a value of over $20 million, and this particular theft has become the largest gold theft in Canadian history, and it's one of the largest, for that matter, in North America. We here in Peel see a variety of crimes that plague this community. Some are very rudimentary and crude, but this one is a carefully planned and well-organized group of criminals from both inside and outside of airport facilities that orchestrated this theft. This morning, I'm proud to share an update on this investigation, and it's a real privilege to do that. In response to this crime, we established a project team who I will introduce. Some of them are behind us. They are formed, to Chair Nika's point, with some of the finest investigators here at Peel Regional Police. And I need to tell you that it's talented individuals that brought this to the forefront, not myself, not the mayors or chair, but amazing investigators behind us. They spent significant amount of time to collect, review evidence, and a tremendous amount of activity inside and outside this country. As you recall, there has been a lot of silence on our ability to report on this investigation right from April 17th last year, and that was intentional to preserve the integrity of this project. This project was dubbed 24 Carat, and the objective of this project was very simple, and it's what Peel Regional Police is renowned for doing. It's to investigate, identify those responsible, and hold them accountable for crimes that are plaguing our community. I'm successful to say that our team is about to reveal, in a way that we've not done before, nuances of this investigation. This investigation, as Chair Unica mentioned, wasn't just a theft of item that had significant value. It has a direct correlation to the compromise of our safety here in Canada and the borders, the integrity of the U.S., and this is an example of how the footprint of things that happen in our community can have rippling effects. We have arrested 9 people, issued 3 Canada-wide arrest warrants, and have laid 19 related charges. And as you will hear, we've interrupted the transportation of a large quantity of firearms intended for import here into Canada. Today we have here with me Deputy Chief Nick Milinovich, who is responsible for Regional Investigative and Emergency Services at Peel Regional Police, Inspector Sean Brennan from Financial Crimes, and very pleased to have Detective Sergeant Mike Mavity and the members of, there's 17 of them, of the investigative team behind me in front of the truck that was involved in the theft that are here, that are responsible for resolving this. It's also a privilege, as was mentioned, to have the special agent in charge, Mr. Eric Degree from the Philadelphia Field Office of the United States Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives, the ATF. As you know, this investigation was multi-jurisdictional, which required us to not only work with partners locally, but nationally and internationally. I would be remiss not to acknowledge Director Jim Walker, who is here with us. He is in charge of the Criminal Intelligence Service of Ontario. They were a significant component of how this investigation happened, and they are made and allowed to happen because of the Ministry of Solicitor General in Ontario. I'd also like to acknowledge the Ontario Provincial Police, Halton Regional Police, and the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, and as well the ATF for their support throughout this. As you recognize, this is and remains an ongoing investigation. You need to know that Peel Regional Police is committed to holding everybody involved responsible for this and ensuring that they are not just identified, but they're charged, arrested, and brought before the courts. We will continue to work with our national and international partners. This story is a sensational one, and one which probably, we jokingly say, belongs in a Netflix series or something greater than that. And so you will see today the opportunity for us to share with you digital media, elements of the investigation, key components that we don't normally do in media and press releases, because we do believe it's in the interest of the public, given the nature and interest regarding this. And so without further ado, I'd like to invite Detective Sergeant Mike Mavity, who was the case manager for this investigation, to speak on behalf of his remarkable team. Mike.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, everyone, for joining us here today. My name is Detective Sergeant Mike Mavity, and I'm the Major Case Manager for Project 24 Carat. On behalf of the primary investigator, Detective Gord Oakes, who's standing to my right, we would like to thank the PRP leadership for their support. And to the 17 members that make up the investigative team of Project 24 Carat, some of which are standing behind me today. Through your hard work and dedication, you have made this investigation a success. While the investigation of those responsible for this theft is nearing completion, other aspects are still ongoing. As a result, we may not be able to answer some of your questions about certain aspects of this investigation, as the matter is before the courts. Our investigation involves a stolen quantity of gold and foreign currency that were ordered from a refinery in Zurich, Switzerland. The gold and currency were transported in the hull of an Air Canada flight in an approved airline container destined for Toronto. This flight arrived at Toronto's Pearson International Airport on April 17th, 2023 at 3:56 p.m. Shortly after, the gold and currency were offloaded from the aircraft and brought into Air Canada cargo facility. At 6:32 p.m., the suspect arrived at Air Canada Cargo driving a 5-ton truck. The suspect reversed his vehicle to the loading dock and exited the truck. The suspect was carrying a fraudulent airway bill as he approached the warehouse. The image you see is the actual airway bill that the suspect produced. The airway bill is for a legitimate shipment of seafood that was picked up the day before. This duplicate airway bill was printed off from a printer within Air Canada Cargo. Once inside the warehouse, the suspect provided it to Air Canada Cargo warehouse attendant. A short time later, a forklift arrived with a container of gold and foreign currency and loaded it into the rear of the suspect's truck. The suspect then drives away. At approximately 9:30 p.m. that same evening, Brinks Canada employees attended Air Canada Cargo to pick up the shipment of gold and currency. Air Canada employees tried to locate the container, realized it was missing, and began an internal investigation. At 2:43 a.m. on April 18th, 2023, Peel Regional Police were contacted and advised the load of stolen gold and currency, the load of gold and currency had been stolen. In total, 6,600 gold bars ranging in size and weighing a total of 400.19 kilograms were stolen. Each gold bar is 99.9% pure and contained individualized serial numbers. The gold was valued at approximately $20 million Canadian based on current market value. The stolen banknotes are in foreign currency in various denominations, amounting to a value of roughly 2.5 million Canadian dollars. Investigators from Project 24 Carat conducted a video canvass going door to door and business to business, reviewing video evidence from surveillance cameras beginning at Air Canada Cargo. Working with community business owners in Peel and Halton region, investigators reviewed their video surveillance and believe the truck took the following route after leaving Air Canada Cargo. Westbound on Britannia Road East. Southbound on Dixie Road. Westbound on Highway 401. We continued to follow the truck and checked each exit that Highway 401 intersects with. Erin Mills Parkway, Winston Churchill, Trafalgar Road. The truck does not exit at any of these roadways. This continues into Halton region as the truck passes James Snow Parkway, and we observe the truck exit at Bronte Road and go northbound on Bronte Road. We continue to follow the truck northbound on Bronte Road. Eventually, as the truck travels north of Milton, it becomes more rural, and we lose sight of the truck. This video canvass lasted 4 weeks, with investigators checking over 225 separate businesses and residences in Peel and surrounding areas for video surveillance, and then reviewing the surveillance to see if the truck happened to pass. Over the last year, Project 24 Carat investigators have executed approximately 37 search warrants, 70 production orders, and interviewed over 50 individuals. During search warrants, investigators seized the following items: $430,000 in Canadian currency. We believe this money is some of the profits the suspects made when they sold the gold. 6 cruelly made gold bracelets that resemble bangles, however they lack various principles typically associated with fine jewelry. These items were sent off for expert examination and are considered to be pure gold. The total value of these 6 gold bracelets is over $89,000. Smelting pots, casts, and molds. These are commonly used in the industry to change the composition of gold. We believe the items you see here today were used to change the composition of the stolen gold bars to different forms, like the bracelets you just saw. 2 debt lists, one for $9.943 million and the other for $10.023 million. A common term in drug trafficking investigations, we believe these lists actually show where the money was distributed when the gold was sold by the suspects. These lists were found at 2 separate locations, and you'll notice we've blurred out the names. However, they are consistent on each list. We are working hard to identify each of these individuals. Some other items on the list, they have allocated money for trips, supplies, and personal items. The suspect used a 5-ton truck to steal the gold and currency from Air Canada Cargo. As the chief mentioned, that truck is behind me today. Investigators have identified and charged or issued warrants for 9 individuals with over 19 charges. Parmpal Sidhu, a 54-year-old man from Brampton and an Air Canada employee. Amit Jalota, a 40-year-old man from Oakville. Ahmad Chaudhry, a 43-year-old man from Georgetown. Ali Raza, a 37-year-old man from Toronto who also happens to be a jewelry store owner. Prasath Parmalingam, a 35-year-old man from Brampton. These individuals have been released on conditions and will appear at the Ontario Court of Justice in Brampton at a later date. Canada-wide warrants have been issued for the following individuals: Simranpreet Panazar, a 31-year-old man from Brampton and a former Air Canada employee who was employed at the time of the theft. Archit Grover, a 36-year-old man from Brampton. Arsalan Chaudhry, a 42-year-old man from Mississauga. Investigators urge these individuals to seek legal counsel and turn themselves into police. And finally, the driver. A warrant in the first has been issued for Durante King McLean for theft over $5,000 and possession of property obtained by crime. I spoke about the fraudulent airway bill when we were alleging the driver produced. Through forensic examination and through other police techniques, we identified King McLean as the driver early on in the investigation. For the months that followed in the summer, we tried to locate King McLean or his associates. That brought us to September. In September 2023, Durante King McLean was stopped in a rental vehicle by Pennsylvania State Police near Chalmersburg, Pennsylvania. After a brief foot chase, he was detained, and troopers located 65 illegal firearms within the vehicle. Since his arrest, Project 24 Carat investigators have been liaising with our friends with the ATF. We are alleging that some individuals who participated in this gold theft are also involved in aspects of this firearms trafficking. For further comment on this aspect of this investigation, I will now turn it over to ATF Special Agent Eric Degree.
Good morning. I'm Eric Degree. I have the privilege of being the Special Agent in charge of ATF's Philadelphia Field Division. I want to thank you, Chief, and your team for your invitation to speak here today and for the excellent cooperation that enabled the prosecution of these serious crimes. For those of you that are not familiar with ATF, we are one of the United States Department of Justice's law enforcement agencies. We protect our communities from violent criminals, criminal organizations, the illegal use and storage of explosives, acts of arson and bombings, the illegal diversion of alcohol and tobacco products, and in this case, illegal trafficking of firearms. Far from being a victimless crime, firearms trafficking presents a grave threat to public safety. It feeds the crime that plagues too many of our neighborhoods by putting guns in the hands of violent criminals and other prohibited people. Law enforcement cooperation with our U.S. and international partners is key to seeking justice and preventing crimes that extend beyond our borders. This case started last September with a late-night traffic stop by the Pennsylvania State Police after a keen trooper noted some minor motor vehicle violations. The driver, Durante King McLean from Ontario, was illegally in the United States and fled on foot when troopers discovered the firearms in his rental car. A court-authorized search warrant for the vehicle led to the recovery of those firearms that were allegedly destined to be smuggled into Canada. One of those firearms had an obliterated serial number, 11 of them were stolen, and 2 of them were converted to fully automatic machine guns under United States federal law. Our partners at the Pennsylvania State Police brought in our ATF Harrisburg office to assist with the investigation into this apparent firearms trafficking operation. King McLean was also listed in law enforcement databases, which alerted us to contact the Peel Regional Police, and thus our cooperation started. Due to the scope of this investigation, the Department of Justice's Office of Crime Drug Enforcement Task Force, otherwise known as OCDEF, also assisted with this investigation. OCDEF is a multi-agency, intelligence-driven anti-crime task force that targets transnational criminal organizations. It also tackles violence due to firearms, human smuggling, racketeering, corruption, fraud, money laundering, and for the first time, in this case, international firearms trafficking. Our teams work closely together, including multiple visits to both Canada and to the United States, to share findings, conduct interviews, and enable us to uncover this criminal network. As a result of our investigation, a United States federal grand jury issued an indictment charging McLean with firearms violations for the 65 weapons that he was caught with. Together with Prazeth Parmalingan, King McLean was charged with conspiring to illegally traffic these firearms into Canada. Furthermore, Jalissa Edwards and Arshit Grover were also charged for assisting the operation by alerting others to prevent apprehensions and concealing evidence. I'm proud to say that we successfully put this international gun trafficking operation out of business. In this case, keeping 65 firearms off the streets of Canada and preventing them from being used in any number of violent crimes. In closing, we'd like to thank the Peel Regional Police, the Pennsylvania State Police, OCDEF for their collaborative efforts that made this operation a success. We look forward to our continued cooperation with our law enforcement agencies, both domestically and internationally, to ensure the safety and security of our communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Special Agent. I'll now turn the podium over to Deputy Chief Nick Milinovich. Deputy.
Thank you. And I would like to thank Special Agent in Charge Degree. Good morning. I am Deputy Chief Nick Milinovich, and I am in charge of our Investigative and Emergency Services Command. I'm also responsible for the Central Robbery Unit, who led the investigation into Project 24 Carat. What I'd like to communicate to you today is really very simple, and there's 2 parts to that message. This was the largest gold heist in Canadian history. Reportedly, it's the 6th largest in world crime history. Our ability to be here and promote the results and the outcomes of this successful investigation rests directly with the people that you see behind me here today. They are the very best in class in investigative excellence, and they represent what Peel is, which is the gold standard in investigative excellence. So the first part of that message is I would like to thank them for all their work and commitment to this. The second thing that I would like to talk about is also very simple. Organized crime and criminals who come to our community, target it, or attempt to profit from it can expect the same outcome. We will pursue them, we will arrest them, and we will charge them. This is more evidence of that. I would like to thank Director Jim Walker from CISO for their contribution to this investigation. They understood the enormity of this investigation and the extraordinary circumstances that required their support and participation. Once again, I would like to thank all of our law enforcement partners who have assisted us. We appreciate the Special Agent in Charge, as I mentioned, his colleagues from the ATF, and all of our partners locally who helped us bring this investigation to a successful conclusion, or at least arrests. Now I would like to invite Brampton Mayor and Peel Police Service Board member Patrick Brown to share a few words and thoughts. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Deputy Chief Milovich. What a great day for public safety. You know, you tend to turn on the TV and you'll see when a crime is committed. And it shatters confidence in the community when you see something like this happen. What we don't see enough of, and I'm so proud that is being shared today, is the incredible investigative work of the fact that in Peel Region, we've got the best of the best to make sure that those who commit crimes are apprehended and are arrested. On behalf of my city, I just want to say the debt of gratitude we have for the extraordinary, exceptional police officers we have. You know, in Peel Region, they deal with some of the most difficult criminal cases. You know, this is a region that reflects the whole world, and with that comes some of the world's challenges. Whether it is sophisticated international auto theft rings, whether it is extortions, human trafficking, they deal with some difficult issues. I don't think I ever imagined they'd have to deal with the largest gold heist in Canadian history. It's almost out of a Ocean's 11 movie or a CSI. But these criminals thought they were more sophisticated than police. They were wrong. They didn't count on Chief Nish. They didn't count on Deputy Chief Milovich. They didn't count on the incredible work of Inspector Sean Brennan and Detective Mike Madamy and the great collaboration with ATF. This is an example of police work at its best. And as much as I think today is a celebration of those behind it being arrested, for me, it is another sign of the incredible confidence we should have in policing in Canada and particularly in Peel Region. And so to Nish, I want to say thank you. I say this again and again. We got the best chief in the country. 4 years ago when he started, he made a comment, and he may even forget this, but he said he was going to use technology to solve more investigations. This is an example of just that, using the most sophisticated technology to apprehend those responsible. So thank you to the best of the best in the Peel Police. Today is a tremendous win for public safety, and it is, as our Deputy Chief said, a message to anyone attempting activities like this, anyone attempting to profit from crime and engage in crime in Peel Region, that they will be caught. This is the result. And I have to say, you give the police the resources to do their job, they do it. This is an example of that. So congratulations, a great day here in Peel Region.